Hey y'all, welcome back. Today I am getting ready in what I call a hurry because I have a doctor's appointment. I want to share with you how I get ready on an everyday basis when I want a quick, easy, yet put together makeup look. Without further hesitation, let's get cozy and get into this makeup look. We are going to get started because I need to leave in just under an hour. I want to make sure all of my makeup is on and ready to go. First thing I'm going to do is take off my bracelet because it's very jingly. I'm going to prime my skin. I use whichever primer is the lowest. I'm still working on finishing off the products I already have in my collection. So the current one I'm working on is the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer. And I apply this all over my face. I've already applied my skincare and my sunscreen. And for sunscreen, I'm using my Round Labs Birch Juice Moisturizing Sunscreen. That's been on for about 30 minutes. The headband I normally wear when doing my makeup is just this velvet wig grip. I use this because this helps me to position my hairline because I put my wig grip slightly further back than the hairline of my wigs. That way you don't see this through the lace. The lace will sit right here, and then when I do that, it gives me the perfect forehead ratios. That way my lower face, mid face, and the upper half of my face are all perfectly proportionate. To add a little bit of glow under my powder foundation, I've been using two shades of the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. I have shade 1 and I have shade 0.5. Shade 1 is too dark and too yellow, but I use this to add warmth and color correct under my powder foundation. My husband gifted me a new mirror, so I've now got a smaller tabletop mirror so I can just look down instead of looking straight through the camera to the larger mirror behind the camera. So that's exciting. I use just a small amount of this warmer, more yellow shade in the center portion of my face. Then I'm going to use the shade 0.5. This is closer to my skin. It's a little bit more of a pink peach. I'm going to use this anywhere that I want a little bit of glow, but I don't want too much. And this is normally just to go on the side or to help transition the warmer shade into my skin tone. Then using a large blush, this is the BK Beauty number 101 Contour Foundation. I do not know what is going on with this brush. It has been such a wonderful brush for the past 3 years. I think I purchased the BK Beauty brushes back in 2021 and we are at the end of 2024. I don't know what's happened. Just out of nowhere, this brush, and this is my only BK Beauty brush that's began to shed. It's not horrible. It's not sticking little hairs all over my face, but I have noticed when I wash this brush, it sheds quite a lot more than it ever has. I'm just shocked that it's shedding because it's not done that before. I'd kind of put BK Beauty brushes in that same bracket with my Real Techniques brushes. Beautiful, super soft, relatively good priced synthetic brushes that perform and last really, really well and don't shed. And it's so fascinating that only my 101 has started to shed. That is a brush I wash nearly every time I use it. I normally clean it in between the soap and water washes with something like my Cinema Secrets brush cleaner. Just that way, since it's a liquid brush and it comes in direct contact with my skin, I like to clean my liquid brushes ideally after every use or every other use. For my base makeup, I do need a little bit of color correction and I don't like to cake on my powder foundation. So to keep it nice, easy, and streamlined, I'm using 3 different shades of the Huda Beauty FauxFilter concealer because it took me a little bit of trial and error to find the best color corrector shade to suit my concern. And my main concern that I color correct is the beard shadowing around my mouth. I'm still working on hair removal to get rid of my facial hair. Until that happens, I color correct. So the shade that works the best for color correcting is the shade Peach, and this is the lightest warm tone. Compared to my skin, this is quite orange, but I just apply it where my skin looks the most blue. And I cannot apply this one as liberally as I do the other color correctors. Right through here, I get a little bit more purple rather than blue. And since purple is closer to the more reddy tone of my face, I will then use something slightly more pink. And for that one, I use Pink Pomelo. This is the second cool tone shade, if I'm not mistaken. And I use this just here on the side and come around. So that is the shade Pink Pomelo. And then the very first one, I still think my personal favorite is the shade Cherry Blossom. I do not really need the color correct under my eyes, but it gives a really beautiful effect. And I also put a little bit in my smile line and then right here at the outer corner of my mouth. This just helps to brighten things up a little bit, and I find it makes my concealer look prettier. I do also play with my Catrice under eye brightener and my Bobbi Brown stick corrector, but I think once I run through those, the next one I will repurchase for my under eye area just to make things look a little bit more fresh and pretty is the Huda Beauty FauxFilter color corrector in Cherry Blossom, and then I will keep using the shade Peach for around my mouth. As I blend this out, let's just chat. I have been wanting to do more chatty videos, but a lot of times when I sit down to record a video, I have an idea of what I want to do and I want to talk and share tips and tricks, and I never really just sit down and talk. As you all know, there have been changes. I have done something like, here's my bio hair. So here is my hair in its natural color treated state. I did PRP for just over a year. It was very expensive, and right up here in my hairline, it didn't address the concern. And even with doing something like a hair transplant, it doesn't last forever. So then I started to use alternative hair treatment, and that's when I found my beloved Montecito wig from Beltress. And now I've got two other wigs, and I just love it. I love the ease of a wig. I love the confidence it gives me. Outside of some people like family, like, oh, why are you wearing a wig? You don't need to wear a wig. You've got a hair. My hair makes me feel very insecure, and having a beautiful wig I can style, I can disguise or hide my insecure areas like hairline, my thinning up top, and I don't have to spend thousands of dollars and hours of discomfort getting needles stuck in my head. It's the preferred choice for me, and at the end of the night, I take it off, brush it off, put her on her stand, and we are good to go. If there's ever anything like that that you want to do that makes you feel more confident, do it. Recently picked up a little part-time job. All of my work almost has pretty much been from home since 2020. I wanted something to get me out of the house. Much as I like being home, I still need to socialize outside of, you know, just my friend group, because I don't see my friends every day or every week. And as we've gone on, we've gotten new jobs, we've gotten new relationships. We don't see each other as much as we did when we used to all work together. I wanted something to get myself out of the house and have just like a little extra source of income, because if I can get out of the house and make a little bit extra money while I'm at it, perfect. And instead of sticking with my normal, just little part-time retail makeup beauty related job, I went for a completely different field and I started working in a little clothing store. It has been such an interesting experience. I have always loved fashion, but I would not call myself a fashionista. I like very practical, comfortable outfits that make me feel confident and that make me feel comfortable in my own skin. And that's kind of what made me want to start working in clothing. Like, while it is quite a superficial industry, like working in clothing, selling people things, it's the overall concept can sometimes feel superficial, but working with different customers, sitting down, talking to them, learning what they love about themselves, what they don't love as much, and figuring out ways together, trying on different things to help people look and feel their best has been so rewarding. Like, without any type of exaggeration or fabrication, I have cried with some of the ladies I've helped more at this job than any other time. And makeup sometimes would happen, especially, you know, if you were working with someone who was going through something like chemotherapy and they lost all their hair, they lost their eyebrows, they lost their eyelashes. Oh my goodness. This makes me feel emotional talking about it, just because I've always been a very emotional person. If someone's crying, I'm gonna cry with them. That's just kind of how I work. You'll have these moments in makeup where you are giving someone back the confidence they might have lost, and it's such a touching and intimate experience that you're sharing with someone else, because what you're doing, what you're teaching them, is sharing with them something that will make them feel better in their daily life. And now doing that through clothing, like the other day I was helping this lady. When I asked her what brought her in today and we started talking, we got to her concerns, she shared that, you know, She had just had children not too long ago, and her body didn't feel the same that it used to. She just didn't feel as beautiful as she once did. So together, we played with different cuts, we played with different styles to find her something that made her feel the most beautiful in this nude stage of her life. That was easy for chasing around children and still feeling put together. I've got my concealer and color corrector on. I use my bareMinerals concealer in the shade Bisque, and I use this to set my cream and liquid concealer products, so that way when I go on top, they do not smudge as I'm buffing in my powder foundation using a Real Techniques setting brush. I was having a thought about this the other day when I was journaling, and a lot of the things I love have come from a place of not loving myself. Like, what got me into hair and makeup was because I didn't love my hair. I didn't love how I looked. I didn't love how I felt in my own skin. When I saw how these different things impacted me and how they made me feel, I thought that it would be really special if I could take what I've learned in helping myself feel better and give that back to other people. So it's so fascinating how sometimes something that we do that's rather self-serving, we can actually share those experiences and those learnings with other people and have an impact. Even though how we look isn't the only thing, it can make such a difference. Because if you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you do better and you put better out into the world. And I love getting to help people do that, whether it's through skincare, makeup, or now clothing. I had no idea when I applied for this little part-time job it would have such an impact, but it has, and I really love it. My only complaint I've had so far is I really love picking up extra shifts because, one, I get some extra money, and the more money I'm making, the more money I have that I can either put aside to save, or I can have a little extra spending money. I have gone from using like primary income to cover everything to where now I use the earnings from my social media to buy new beauty products, as I'm normally buying beauty products to share with all of you, and now I'm using my little part-time job income to buy new clothes. And that way, any money outside of that I can just put towards savings. Seeing my savings account grow from what it was has been just, it's almost like a game, especially if you put your money into like a tax-free savings account, then you see those extra percentages bump up every month. It is so exciting. Now we're moving into my foundation routine, and normally it doesn't take me this long, but I am feeling quite chatty. I still love and use my MAC Studio Fix powder foundation, but I have been loving the one size turn up the base versatile powder foundation, except the shade I have is too dark, so I use this as like a skin deepener or really natural bronzer. During the Sephora Savings event, I purchased a new shade of the one size turn up the base powder foundation, and this shade is in Fair 3 Neutral. What I've been loving is I mix the two of these together. This is definitely not something that you have to do, but sometimes if you take two products that you really like and you mix them together, it can create something really special. So I pick up a little bit of both, tap them into the palm of my hand just to mix them, and then I start tapping over my skin. The MAC Studio Fix powder is in shade NC15. It's a little bit more of a neutral peach, so it's slightly warmer than my skin tone, but it helps to take the edge off the redness I get from my rosacea. And the one size is a true neutral, so it doesn't lean too yellow or too pink. If I use the neutral on its own, it can make my skin not look as pretty as when I mix it with something that has a little bit more warmth, because that warmth is going to neutralize. What I really love about the one size, in my opinion, gives more coverage with less amount of product than the MAC, but it almost has like this slightly creamy or waxy appearance on the skin, which when you hear waxy, it can sometimes be a little bit off-putting because waxy can look really heavy, but there's something about the finish mixing the one size with the MAC. You just get this really beautiful finish, and layering it over top of like a more creamy or reflective base makes the skin just really beautiful and like an elevated satin finish skin finish. To continue on with my love of mixing products recently, I move on to adding a little bit of light and depth to my face. I've had several shades of the MAC Studio Fix powder foundation. Currently in my collection, I have 3, so nothing's going to waste. I use the lightest shade, which is MAC in 3, and I mix it with my e.l.f. Halo Glow setting powder in the shade Pink. So I put a little bit of my e.l.f. Halo Glow in my hand, and I have a Wet n Wild P65. I believe this is the setting brush. Pick up the MAC Studio Fix powder foundation in N3, mix that together, and I will set it under my eyes where I applied my concealer. This is going to help brighten up and almost add like a matte highlight effect to the skin. And the trick with this is you only work with a small amount of product. There is no rhyme or reason to how you mix. I like getting the powder, the pressed powder foundation on my brush and then mixing it in with the liquid. And anywhere I want to add a little bit of highlight, I will take whatever I have left. I like to add a little bit extra to the side of my nose and my smile lines. I'll go right over my eyelids because I like to brighten my eyelids, and here at the edge of my nose and under my chin, and then I will take my brush and just gently whisk side to side. Now I have the one size in 1R, which is light 1 Rosy, and I have my MAC Studio Fix powder foundation in shade N4. I'm going to go back to my large fluffy Real Techniques powder brush, and I'm going to mix them together. These are both darker. In the summer when I get a little bit of tan or I do a little bit of fake tan, I can use these as my bronzer, or sorry, not my bronzer. I can use it as my one and done foundation shade instead of mixing. I like using these with a very light hand, mixing them together and using it almost as like a bronzer. It helps to take the edge off any fluff I have under my chin, and I can do a very gentle contour and shape. And you're using such a small amount of the product, the textures are going to blend with the powder foundation because we are using the same mix in just a slightly deeper shade. Now that I've got my foundation products on, I'm going to use my e.l.f. Stay All Night Blue Light Micro Setting Mist, and I'm going to give my foundation a quick set. Now it's the luck of the draw whether I do my face makeup or my eye makeup first. I'm going to proceed with my face makeup, and I'm going to start with the Gucci blush. This is shade 05 Rosy Beige, and I'm going to use this as like a contouring blush bronzer. I'm going to take it on the outer half of my cheek, work into the side of my forehead. This is more of a muted, almost like a rosewood mixed with a plum, and I apply that here on the outer portion, a little bit over the bridge of the nose and the chin. Such a small amount. This product will last me forever. I am going to try out a product I recently purchased because the colors were just so beautiful. This is a new mood blur or mood blending cheek palette from Dasique in number 11 Cream Soda. This is a little palette of cool toned expanding shades. I'm going to go back to that little Wet n Wild brush, and I'm going to mix the pale pink with the blue, and I am going to use this mix as a little bit of a matte highlighting or expanding shade here on the inner portion. And I like to mix the pink with blue because I feel like blue on its own can be a little too blue. I cut it with the pink, that way it cools it down and just makes it a little bit more of almost like a soft lavender shade. And using it right here, it helps to flatten this area, so it softens the transition between the cheek and the bridge of the nose, so it helps to make the bridge of the nose look a little bit thinner, and it makes the cheeks look slightly plumper. It's a very slight, subtle effect. It's not going to be anything earth-shattering as far as the difference. I'm going to apply a highlight. This is my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Lightscapade, and I'm going to apply this up high on my cheeks. And whatever's left, I take over the bridge of the nose and the tip of the chin and the tip of the nose, and layering my blushes again. And I've been loving this combination of Dior Backstage Rosy Glow Blush in the shade number 063 Pink Lilac. Using my BK Beauty angled blush brush, apply this from the midpoint of the cheek back into that Gucci shade that we almost use like a bronzer. A little bit on the nose and the chin. This shade, I apply it very lightly because I don't want too much, but it just gives a little bit of a beautiful pink flush. And then I'm going to use a newer to me product. This is the NYX Buttermelt Blush in the shade Butter Together. This is a slightly warmer pink, and a little bit goes a long way. So barely tap the brush in, stamp. I'm going to use this to blend the pink lilac and that expanding shade that we applied to the front of the cheek. And I try to keep this just higher than the nostril flare. And I've been applying my blush in a little bit more of a straight out motion to add more width, because the way I've been wanting to do my makeup recently and complement with my hairstyle is I want to pull width and shape. So I want to emphasize the upper half of my face. That way my lower face looks a little bit less heavy because it's been de-emphasized. And that's also why when I curl my hair, I start my curl from the temple. That way we add width here, so it pulls the eyes up and out. Now I'm going to use the AMUSE Vegan Lavender Palette. Is that what this is called? My apologies. The AMUSE Eye Vegan Sheer Palette in the shade 04 Sheer Lavender. Beautiful little palette. And for every day, I keep things very, very simple. I'm going to use a fluffy brush. This is the BK Beauty A503, and I'm going to use this peachy shade. This is going to be my all-over wash of shadow on the lid, and I like to use something slightly more peach to brighten the eyelid, kind of like you would use a peach under eye corrector to neutralize a blue or purple tone under the eyes. Using a little bit of a peachy shadow all over the lid is going to help neutralize any shadowing that you might have and brighten up the eyes. Depending on the day, depending on how I'm feeling, it will depend on if I do my lid or my socket next. Today I feel like doing the socket, so I want to tie into my blush color. I'm going to use the matte pink with the same brush, just get a little bit on the tip of the brush, look straight ahead. Let's see. So I'm gonna look straight ahead into the mirror, and I'm going to quickly sketch my eyes. And I like to go from the top of the crease straight out to the tail of my brow and back in. And it's a very quick little motion. We are not carving the eyes. We are just adding a suggestion of color and shape. And this is quite a sheer eyeshadow palette, so you have to take your time and build up. But if you're doing your makeup for every day and you need to be quick, this is a really beautiful palette, and it makes doing your everyday look really easy. Now I'm going to take just a tiny bit of the grayish shade on the tip of the brush, and I'm going to open my eyes, look straight ahead, relax, find where I want the contour, press in, wiggle, and then don't worry too much about blending it right now. Take the brush again, look straight ahead, find where you want to add depth or you feel like your eyes look heavy. I'm going to place it right here, wiggle, buff in, and then I will rock and gently kind of almost like a little circular scrubbing motion, but gently work it to the halfway point of my crease. Then I switch to my finger, and I'm going to use the more shimmery pink purple shade. And I'm going to take this right over my eyelid, and then same thing on the other eye. Using the lightest pearlescent pink shade, I'm going to tap this right here on the inner corner of my eye just to add a brightening sparkle. This will also make the eyes look like they're a little bit wider apart, which will again help play into adding width to the upper half of my face. Mascara, I'm using my Benefit Bad Gal Bang Mascara. This is in the shade Rebel Brown, and I can say this is still not my favorite mascara, but it's been open for about 3 weeks now, and it's dried out a little bit more, and it goes on a lot more easily. I still feel the same way. I would not call this mascara like a bang formula. It doesn't give me that excitement when you hear something like the word bang or pop. I don't find it to be that impactful, but it's a really beautiful dry formula that stays in place quite well. The other day I had this out and it was quite windy, and when it's windy, my eyes water, and this did not smudge all over, so that's a huge plus. In a way, this reminds me of the effect that you get from a lot of K-beauty mascaras, except those are about half the price of this. Definitely not a bad mascara, just not my favorite. The Benefit Precisely My Tinted Brow Wax. This is in the shade 1 Light Cool Blonde. I just go back and forth through my brows, tint the hairs, and then I go back over and pull them in the shape I want them to be. I have been using a little bit of my retinoid eye cream, which is the Beauty of Joseon, I think it's the retinaldehyde eye cream, or the retinol and ginseng eye serum, something like that. But I've been using that through my brow to help fade the microblading I had done, because I want to shape my arches slightly higher and out, just to help play into the effect I want to create. For my lips, I've been going back to my beloved Perry Para Ink Airy Velvet in shade number 21, which is called Fluffy Peach. It's going to be warmer, but it's a very enlivening shade, and this stays on quite well. At this stage, I like to go through, grab my hair, and then just pop it on. Now I can go through, make any adjustments. Let's see, make sure I have a forehead. Give it a quick smooth, because just sometimes with a heat-friendly synthetic, you do need to add heat to them fairly often. I am not doing anything major. I am going to run to the doctor's office. I have an appointment to go over my blood work appointment the other day, hence why I have this wonderful bruise on the back of my hand. And then I'm gonna have dinner and come home, and that's my night. So very quick makeup. I am going to take the front of my fringe, and one of my favorite things to do is just give it a little twist, and then I like to take this piece right here, give it another little twist, and then I'll take a bobby pin, open, and then almost, I think people call this jackknife in. So take it in, push it in, so that way it kind of goes back and into the hair. And then just to make sure I'm not putting any tension on the front, hold my pin in place and then pull the hair forward, and then I'll do the same thing on this side. And this just helps to keep the hair out of the face. And then again, we will pin this in place. There we go, nice and easy. Now, Dior lip oil, this is in the shade Pink Lilac, and cool down the lip stain. And that is gonna complete my look. I have got to leave my house in just a few minutes. I am gonna let you go. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you enjoy this more casual, chatty style video. I would like to do more of a longer get to know me video soon. If you're interested in a video like that, let me know what type of questions you would like me to answer in that video. Until we see each other again, I hope you're taking care of yourself wherever it is that you are in the world. Bye, y'all.